So, hello to everybody listening now and in the future. My name is Kate White, and tonight I'm going to give a short talk on how the babies are the best of us. And I'll talk for about 40 minutes, at least I think so, and then I'll open up for questions about working with babies. Um, and this will probably be the first of several talks I'm going to give, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Okay, just give me a minute because I like to see you when I talk. And if you want to come on and show your face, I like that. Um, all right. Okay. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. All right. So the babies are the best of us. So just to orient you, I want to talk a little bit about why I'm giving this talk and really to honor my lineage of John and Anna Chitty and Ray Castellino. And I have quite a few people who have put their input into me for working with babies. But this tonight is really in honor of John Chitty. Um, he he was the person who influenced me the most about working with babies, even though I have worked with many people who and studied with many people uh, who work with babies. It's really John's work that's influenced me the most, and hopefully he'll come through me to you um, in his own way. He has such a unique style for those of you who know him. But I'm going to talk about his perspective. That's just what I carry when I work with babies and when I work teach people to do the work I do. Um, he called it the from the invisible world. He insisted that if you were going to work with babies, that this was the one thing that he really would want you to carry, to believe in, to have a sense of. I want to talk a little bit about the research in babies, especially the program, The Roots of Empathy. Um, Babies are special. There's something about them. John would say oxytocin, vasopressin. Uh, he had a way about him, but those two hormones are ones that are neuropeptides that are play a role in maternal health and mothering, and, love and parenting, and then I want to talk about helping parents for wholeness. He would say if parents were hurt, parents were having trouble, he would say, red alert. That's what babies sense. Red alert. Mom's upset. So I want to talk about that. And then I have a little slides about my programs that I'm offering, but I really do want to put a big, announcement out here that babies are the best of us. This is just about my background. Um, for those of you who don't know me, I have a lot of training in working pre and perinatally. I work with families and babies, and I started 30 years ago. I'm a body worker. I started as a somatic therapist, massage, craniosacral therapy, and it was in the context of that I had a client remember her birth on my table, and that was in 1999, and that's what really sparked my interest because I didn't know that was possible. And so I've been studying ever since. And now, 30 years later, I have training programs of my own. And I took the somatic experiencing training, but most of the somatic trauma work that I do comes from Anna Chitty, her blueprint resonance course, and how she really, it's the somatic blueprint courses that she teaches are the best, I think, somatic courses I've ever taken. I've also studied lactation, and I've studied multiple bodywork approaches for babies. So this is my lineage. These are the people who've influenced me. Um, and I feel very fortunate to have had the woman in the corner there, Lois Treesice, midwife. She's taught me a lot about midwifery and what actually happens at births. But all along the bottom of this slide are all the perinatal instructors I've had. Very powerful modality. If those of you who do not know about pre and perinatal somatics, it is really a reclamation of who we really are. And we work with those layers of experience that influence us as we are developing pre-verbally. And they come so much through the birth psychology movement, but it was really Ray Castellino, I feel like, who's made the biggest difference in changing how we teach and experience the work. He softened it, he made it more accessible, he developed training programs. And I really am so honored to have been connected with him, mentored by him, friends and colleagues with him. And then Anna and John Chitty. John is the one who's influenced me the most in this domain of working with babies, and Anna is the one who's developed the Blueprint Resonance course that I teach mostly in my classes. But behind them, there's others. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of so much amazing people who've developed bodywork approaches and energetic approaches, and those are the things that I carry. I'm in this lineage. A.T. Still, William Sutherland in osteopathy, Randolph Stone, whom I wish I knew, I wish I'd met, the most amazing human who developed polarity therapy, and Franklin Sills, who brought us the biodynamic craniocyclotherapy in our country. And Anna and John Chitty taught in his lineage. John Chitty, he would say babies are the best of us. Babies are spiritual beings, super sentient, super perceptive. And like I said, he had an insistence that if you're going to work with babies, you're going to want to believe in the invisible world. In many presentations that he gave, I would sit in and he would start with this slide, a Flammarion engraving. It's an old engraving of a person poking their head through the celestial limit of our planet and into the stars. He would say, looking beyond the limit, he reached the horizon where the earth and the heavens met. And he would say babies would have 1 foot in that world and 1 foot in the world in our earthly plane. And to him, this was really important because you had to address babies in that way. Babies are very spiritual beings, and they are the best of us. They bring into their incarnation the fresh engagement of the real true human. They had this beautiful combination of our human qualities, the compassion, love, delight, joy, their own way of being strong, and they just emanate. Babies emanate because they're so close to that part of us, that blueprint part. And so he had a mantra. We asked him, my colleagues and I, when we interviewed him, what's the most important thing about babies? And he would say, recognition. Recognize where they come from. And he had a little mantra. You'll see him. I'm about to show you a video of him working with a baby, welcoming a baby. He would say, welcome, planet Earth. You made it. And inside, he would say, or even outside, because he sometimes he just talked to babies, and that's where I sort of learned to really be with these royal beings, these beings so close to our spiritual nature. He would say, I know who you are. Welcome. Welcome to planet Earth. You are a unit of consciousness. I know where you came from. I come from there too. So let me be the first to be an ambassador for you here on planet Earth. You come from that invisible spiritual world where I come from. And I know why you're here. You came to gain wisdom through experience or the fulfillment of consciousness. And this is Randolph Stone. Randolph Stone felt that our job on planet Earth was to fulfill consciousness and that we are conscious beings coming into form, spirit, and matter. And then our soul. Our soul is born, and then we have life on planet Earth, and then we go back to where we come from. So he saw great benefit in working with babies, which of course, I want to talk you all into if you do not. There is great benefit. He would say, a stitch in time saves nine, or as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. And babies don't take a lot. They don't need a lot unless they've been really badly hurt or they have really bad need for surgery or other large interventions. But babies, they don't, I noticed they really don't need a lot. And when people come to talk to me, they would say, yeah, just a little touch at the back of the head and it totally lengthened. I mean, they have healing superpowers. They often don't need a lot of body work. And if you recognize them and they get it, that you get it, they'll start to tell you what's going on. They'll tell you everything. Um, and they often will talk with their eyes. They'll tell you with their eyes. So I want to show you this video of John welcoming a baby. But I have to stop and start again because I have to set up for. I have to share so you can hear. All right, let me know if you can't hear it, okay?
My name's John. Hi. Hello. Oh, my. Hi. Oh, hi. Hi. How are you? Welcome. Hi. 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 Oh. Mm. Hello. Hello. Hi. You made it. Planet Earth. Yeah. Yeah, you did. You did. And our mantra of the moment is, I know who you are. I know where you came from. I know why you're here. You're a soul who took on a body to come into this world for the fulfillment of consciousness. Welcome. And we're here to do everything we can to make your arc as auspicious as it can be. Far beyond anything we imagined in our own life. Is that good? Well, I think we'd like to get up. Up. Shall we get up? Let's try it up. Look who's there. There's Mom. Oh, pushing with your feet. Move and holding your head up. Doesn't it feel good?
welcoming babies. So I started really working with babies in 2013 when I went out to meet John. Up until then, I've been working with adults. And those of you who may or may not know about birth psychology, that's how we learned about early imprints was working with adults. Adults could speak, adults still had the baby within, and there were Ray Castellino, William Emerson, Franklin Sills, they spent a long time experimenting with their own bodies, and as many people before them who are pioneers in the field, we learned about early imprints through working with adults. But then science began to discover babies. Back in the day, what years, decades ago, they thought babies didn't think or feel or have any feelings. They just were tabula rasa. They were clear slates. But that's not true. They have experiences. They're discerning. And so then all these infant laboratories began to pop up. And there's these innovative studies about infants' minds and much more. They could revolutionize early treatment. And yes, indeed, that has come to pass. This was published in 2005. It was funny for me because I found this and I framed it. And when I went to see John, he had also found it and framed it. We really bonded over our love of babies. And then all these publications started about. This was Annie Murphy Paul, the How the First 9 Months Shaped the Rest of Your Life. And those books became very soothing for those of us who'd studied birth psychology for so long because people resisted. How could people remember these things? But then science discovered babies and they began to research them and have laboratories all over the country. Babies prefer helpful to unhelpful social types. They would put puppets out, and one puppet would help the other puppet. Another puppet would push the other puppet down, and babies would play with the puppet that was friendly, that was helpful. They would stun scientists with amazing insights. Babies only look clueless. That's one of my favorite ones. Babies help unlock the origins of morality. Babies, do they show preferences? And newborn babies may be more developed than we think. Of course, this is people in birth psychology have been talking about this since 1929. But now modern science is saying, yes, we think babies are special. We think that they know more than we ever think they could. And this is my favorite quote from Laura Schultz, who was a professor of cognitive science at MIT. Babies know much more about the world than we previously believed. They have a lot of prior knowledge right from birth. In fact, even before birth, they have knowledge. They're very sophisticated learners, and they are. So when I first got to know John and he began to do presentations and I was helping him, he would put up this picture of this book, Roots of Empathy, and he would talk about the impact of having an infant in the class. This is the Roots of Empathy classroom. And in this program, trained visitors, trained professionals would bring babies into classrooms, and it had an amazing impact. There were 27 visits, and all the children would come around the baby. And it improved classroom dynamics immensely. This is where John would so extol the virtues of oxytocin and vasopressin. But this is an amazing program, and the impact of having a baby in the classroom is that it increased pro-social behaviors like sharing, helping, and including, belonging. The children began to work much more together, collaboratively. It increased empathy. It decreased aggressive behaviors, including bullying. We need this. We need to recognize the special powers of babies. They have medicine for us adults out here. So the research it lasted years. They tracked these cohorts of children, the reduction of difficult behaviors, decrease in aggression, and increase in empathy that maintained in classrooms that had the programs. And these longitudinal studies that showed the results that lasted years and showed an increase in pro-social behaviors. These little babies brought the feeling of love into the classroom. Mary Gordon, the person who wrote this book, said there was a time when there was a young man in her class that he was in eighth grade, and he had had a very difficult life, foster home, and had a chance to hold a baby. A baby nestled into him, and he rocked the baby. And when he gave the baby back, he said, "Do you think a boy like me who's never had love could be a good father?" These are the things that babies bring to us. Babies have biological, relational, spiritual expectations. These are the things, this is how we let babies down. They want to be welcome and wanted and supported in gestation and birth, connected immediately or during or after, like all through the continuum, welcomed when they are conceived, sensitively carried, sensitively birthed, sensitively held. Babies emanate sacred, invisible, mysterious factors that modern medicine and society misses. For babies and birthing parents, many painful things happen, and babies and parents take them very personally, when often there's nothing personal about it, but things do happen. So parents and babies often feel hurt and betrayed. So what I've studied and what colleagues like me have studied is just how to repair that. That's what we're doing. It's a reparation and a reclamation. And you become connected to who you really are by healing these early ruptures. Whether or not you're an adult seeking healing, a family seeking healing. And babies, they're just there. They're like, I just arrived here and all these things happened to me. Ray thought almost all births had traumatic parts to them. If you read the literature, it's 1 and 2. That's where we are right now. And I've been tracking birth trauma now for years, and it's not getting any better. So this trauma has lifelong impacts if not healed. And the impacts can result from a single event or series of events that in any way cause overwhelm to a person's spirit, psyche, or spiritual body. These trauma imprints overlay the true self, this true human, our human qualities. And they're beautiful. And these impacts can be healed right away as opposed to waiting until later in life. So that is what I'm training people to do. This is what I am asking for in our world today. Because if you do not recognize what happened, even sometimes it just takes recognition. That happened. And that was hurtful. And we don't want that for you. And we're sorry. What happens is the person, whether it's a parent or the other parent or the baby, I did something wrong. It was my fault. I'm not a parent, not a good person, not a good human. I failed. I'm bad. There is something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. This is what I encounter a lot in my work with birthing parents that come to recover from difficult births. So our job is to help birthing families prepare and welcome babies, repair if there have been challenges, and restore a family to themselves. This is what the work I do does. John's advice: babies and prenates partly inhabit the invisible world and partly inhabit the visible world. So he asks that you accept this. They have substantial resources from the invisible world that can reduce trauma. So these are ones that you can recognize. especially if you support the mother in her awareness of her baby. Babies are resilient given adequate support. The baby is a hitchhiker on the mother's nervous system. Help her get the support she needs. And often difficulties have a purpose. If the purpose can be discovered and addressed, the child may be able to move forward more easily. Often these challenges are coupled with our gifts, and they can become assets. So often I can tell parents, yes, these are very difficult things, but if we can integrate them, they can become gifts in the world in general. So the health is never lost. Focus on the underlying expressions of coherence and natural movement patterns. Often distortions fade if the health is emphasized. So this is part of our training, is how to see people in their health. For prenates and babies, the two-chair method is effective. And that was John's work, really. He loved two chairs. Whenever I would talk with him, he would say, well, give me 10 minutes and two chairs. It was a type of polarity, working with two sides. And he works with families with this. And this is what I teach, but put the baby in the chair. And for parents, I think in all humans, catch them doing something right. And by that, he meant like just see people in their strength and see what's right about what's happening. So we need to and can work with babies. So this is a quote from Ray Castellino. We have found prenatal and birth trauma to primarily impact the primary goal structures, life assumptions, self-identity, self-esteem, personality structure, and behavior of the emerging person. So why not intervene right away, helping that birthing parent, that family, that baby? This is what I would really like to help train you to do. So we can assist babies to feel seen and heard. And if they do, they will get it. They will get it that you get it. And they'll see you and they'll say, thank you. Thank you for seeing me and welcoming me. But there are skills that we teach that help with babies: pacing, tempo, touch skills, presence, recognition of what happened, accurate reflection and connection. And once you see that a baby gets it, that you get it, you can't unsee it. You begin to believe that if you talk to a baby, that they'll listen and they'll talk back. Finally, John would say, we have to work with parents. If the mother or the birthing parent feels hurt, the baby will go red alert. We have to work with parents. And I've seen this in action in my classes. Babies will do a lot of things to try to help the parent. And often it's just to be adorable as possible, and emanate, Mom, I love you so much. And often with parents that have been hurt, they're in their cloud. They sometimes can't even see that the baby is giving them these huge feelings of love, emanating that from their whole being. And so parents who feel hurt by birth, they're in their thoughts thinking, I did something wrong. I'm a bad parent. And the hard part is it's like nobody often intervenes at that time. When they're from the birth perspective, trying to help them clear up what happened. So red alert, mom's upset. This is where adaptations begin, and they can even start in the womb. So the way trauma shows up, it can start preconception. And the parent, the mother, is the first environment. So we need to work with parents to help them feel more comfortable in their body, to help them understand, to help them feel the way they want to feel as best as possible. And so for those parents who've had trauma, they often carry these very confusing and hurtful experiences with them, and they may do it their whole lives. I've had people the age of 70 come in my office and say, I've heard about you. I had a C-section 50 years ago, and I still think about it. Will you help me? So it's not only about intervening in that early stage, which is, of course, I would like one of me in every hospital. But these parents will carry those hurtful experiences with them. So we need to work with the whole family and settle the family field so they thrive. Now, maybe I'll tell a story before I complete tonight about a family. So this is a really great book. I don't know if any of you have read this. What Happened to You? Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing by Oprah Winfrey and Bruce Perry. And Bruce Perry is someone who studied trauma and written some wonderful books and developed his own methods and to work with trauma. But he had a section in his this book that talked about if a baby is hurt, if they're well treated in the first 2 months of life, that will set them up. So this quote, the child who has only 2 months of really bad experiences does worse than the child with almost 12 years of bad experiences, all because of the timing of these experiences. What he means is that if a baby is well cared for in the first 2 months of life, that will set them up. So if they're moved into adverse conditions for the next 12 years, they'll still do better than a baby that didn't have that good care. So if a baby didn't have sensitive caregiving and was put in a really good situation, they would have worse outcomes. 2 months, the first 2 months. We can do that. So 10 things to do for babies. Slow down. Support the parents. Birth matters. Understand their unique needs. Teach them that connection is good. Skin to skin holding and massages are good. John Chitty would say babies need soft touches. Talk to them. Sing to them, especially your voice as a parent. Babies need sweet sound. See them, hear them, empathize with them. And they will tell you their story over and over until they are heard. So listen and accurately reflect back. If you do just one thing, you can say to a baby who was born, that was difficult. You worked hard. I'm here for you. I'm right here. You made it. You did it. Welcome. Welcome to planet Earth. So this is my program on helping professionals understand the baby's experience as well as helping parents recover from challenging births. 10 modules plus working with babies, which is a new course that I'm teaching with Liz Sandoval in July in Boulder, Colorado. So I think I'd like to end our time together with a story, and then I'll take any question. So I've had 4 healing centers focused on working in the perinatal field. And this was a story from my third office. It was in Charlottesville, Virginia. I now live in Chapel Hill. And I had a couple come in, and they had their new baby. He was 6 weeks old. And the mom came in, and she was very had her head down. And of course, new parents are exhausted. So she just looked so down and she had this sort of head down. She came in and slumped on the couch. And then the dad came in. He was mad. "Arr, my baby's been crying for 6 weeks and I'm no, this baby." He was really upset. He was in the fight space and she was in the collapse space. And I said, okay. And they had a straightforward birth. They nothing that they thought was adverse. So when I picked the baby up and I went to examine him, it's beautiful, put him on my table, and immediately I could tell that his clavicle was broken. There was a big lump, and I said, "Did you know that your baby's clavicle was broken?" And they were like, "What?" The mother was stood up, body posture erect, alert, alert. And the dad was like, "What? What?" And I explained, sometimes, I asked them if they had any what they call shoulder dystocia, where the baby gets stuck and can describe what happens if indeed that's the case. They said no, they didn't have any of that. And the clavicle is the most broken bone of the body. It sometimes it breaks in childbirth. I didn't say anything more. Uh, but the parents' response was the mom, "What? You mean I'm not a bad parent? You mean my baby's been crying because he was hurt?" I'm like, "Yeah." And the dad was like, "I've been mad because he was crying, but my baby is hurt." I'm like, "Yeah, your baby, he's all right. He's going to be okay." Babies are really great healers. They heal quickly. And I did a little body work for him. I like soothing. I mean, he didn't cry at all while he was there. And I taught the parents how to be with him. And they very gently, they were so attuned to him, gently putting him back in the car seat. They walked out of my office, just feeling connected and whole. One session. And that parent sent many other parents to me. It's that easy. So thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And I'm very happy to take any question. Is it Ione?
Ione, yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Thank you. This has been wonderful. And my question seems somewhat appropriate following that beautiful healing story. Um, I'm here in Colorado, and when I was looking at opening an energy medicine practice, I looked at, the laws here and what do I need to abide by. And I recall being sent a statute that stated that alternative and complementary practitioners can't work with babies, anyone under the age of 2. So I was just curious if you knew anything about that
In Colorado,
in Colorado.
you got served something from the legislature, the government?
No, no, I didn't get served anything. One of my classmates was a malpractice attorney. And so in her process of research, because we were soon to be getting certified as energy medicine practitioners, she came across this statute from, I think it was put in place in 2018 or something. Um,
I have known nothing about that, but I would
okay.
say that's a travesty.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say I would say let's research that to see what that is because and I would challenge that because babies are energetic beings. They don't, like I said, they don't take a lot. Sometimes it's just receiving their love that can change. Sometimes it's even recognizing what happened and saying that I'm sorry, that was must have been so hard. I mean, babies are very sensitive, super sentient, super sensitive, and it doesn't take a lot to help a baby. And somebody who's interested I mean, I would challenge that. Go find out what that is, Ione, because that's
Okay.
that's a travesty. And uh, I will say that working with babies is something that it took me a long time to learn. And I do a lot of fascial work and I do biodynamic craniosacral work with babies. Um, and I would say it's an advanced bodywork skill, but there's a lot that you can do for babies that's not an advanced bodywork skill. And just that welcome is something that will change them because they'd be like, I see you. And they'll look right back at you. I see you. And we're here together. Babies are very forgiving and if they want to connect, they're just they'll look right at you. They'll look inside you. They'll walk around inside you, feel them in there checking you out. Are you a good person? So it doesn't take a lot to make a difference in the lives of families with little babies. So I hope that you come visit when I'm in Boulder and tell me what you found out.
I'm here in Boulder and I'm signed up to take your class.
Okay.
And before July, I will really go after this because if this is still in place, yes, we need to change this
Yes, you
statute.
you
Yeah,
yes, you need to change we'll need to change that because
yeah.
that's just arcane. I mean, art. I don't know where that came from, but I would like to know.
Okay.
Um,
I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. Thank you.
okay. Okay, thank you. And then Christine, the 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 dates and details, they're in the PowerPoint presentation. I can take you back in and show you. Um, they're in Boulder, July 8 to 12. And you just have to go to theenergyschool.com to apply. There's an application, and we're having a wonderful advanced uh, team. Yeah, Frank Carbone is part of the team. Mary Jackson, midwife. What Maya Kakate, who's a uh, also midwife, and Allison Green Barton, who's advanced, Ray Castellino, legacy teacher, as well as Kristen Sipley. And I believe that there may be a couple more. So uh, there's going to be quite a nice team to help support this workshop. Any other question? Alex,
Yes. Hi, Kate. I'm wondering how frequent are you doing these trainings, or do they have to like call you in, like the school, healing school that you're doing the training in this summer?
well, well, this is the first time I'm teaching this particular training, and I believe it will be an add-on to the 10 modules I've developed. And of course, I want you to learn, Alex. So,
Yes, I want to
but
learn too.
yeah, well, I think it's the next step after learning all the things I teach, and um, it's John Chitty's five-step protocol. Now, those of you who may or may not know, he wrote a little book, and it's a fantastic little book. I have it here, working with babies, John Chitty's, but it's also other things that I've learned, and it's some of Ray Castellino's perspectives and Mary Jackson's perspectives, and we'll see. I don't know how much I'll teach it. We'll just have to wait and see how it unfolds. I've asked Liz Sandoval, who's Anna and John Chitty's daughter, to teach some parts of it with me. So it does have a little craniosacral therapy in it and some polarity, but that's John Chitty for you. And I do want to teach his work. He asked me before he died if I would do that, and I said yes. Any other questions? Yeah. Katie?
Yeah, hi Kate. Thank you for doing this. And I'm curious about in the workshop training in July, how much anatomy and like birth stage possibilities are a part of it, because I guess I feel really confident in the spiritual aspects with recognizing and talking to babies and whatnot. But I feel, if I were in your shoes, I like to think that maybe I would be able to tell, like, oh, your baby's clavicle is broken, but would I actually know that? And I didn't know that babies' clavicles could break easily through birth. So I feel like if you can speak to how much of really knowing your anatomy and really knowing the variety of birth possibilities adds to your confidence in working with babies. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, I would keep studying, Katie. I mean, I've studied 30 years and I've studied, and I was fortunate to be in deep relationship with a midwife. I learned a lot about birth there, but a lot of what I've learned has just been my clinical experience of receiving babies and holding them. And so in the workshop I'm teaching in July, I'm going to teach you how to see birth trauma in babies and in all adults, all children. I mean, everybody. You can see it with your eyes. Um, you can also, in babies, there are some very familiar birth trauma postures. Um, the workshop is in Boulder, Seja. Um, but in terms of what you're asking, it just takes time and clinical experience and getting supervision and uh, knowing what happens for babies. And I feel like the foundation course of Castellino is a good one. The course I teach is fairly technical. It has a lot of midwifery in it. Um, and in the both in this class I'm teaching with babies, there's some really important anatomy to know about the cranium, the bottom, the base of the cranium, cranial nerves. And if you study these things, it's usually, becoming a craniosacral therapist would be, if you really want to know more, it's definitely a good place. There are a couple other practitioners that do 4-day workshops. The Carol Gray in Portland is good. Um, there's Allison Hazel Baker, who's a breastfeeding therapy person. I mean, there's a lot. There's new people that I'm meeting all the time, so I would just start taking workshops.
Cool, thank you. And I want to say
Yeah.
hi, Frank.
Hi,
Um,
Katie. Nice to see you.
it's a 5-day workshop. Yeah, we'll go through all the 5-step protocol, and you get to have some of your own baby experiences, and you get to have practitioner experiences. And yeah, it's going to be a celebration of the life and works of John Chitty. So uh, I definitely welcome all of you. I don't think there are very many spots left. I think there aren't many left. So get in touch with Liz at the Colorado School. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for coming. I'll send out this recording and share it with your friends. And whenever possible, learn about babies, see them, welcome them as special, the royalty of humanity. Super sentient, super perceptive. Thank you, Lisa. And we'll see. I'll have more presentations because I have a lot more to say. But that's all for now.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Alicia. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.